What if everything you thought you knew about early human evolution was wrong? Before the famous Lucy, our ancestral landscape was far more crowded and complex than textbooks suggest. Prepare to have your mind blown as we unearth the groundbreaking discoveries in Afar that reveal a multi-species hominin puzzle, rewriting the story of who we are. What if everything you thought you knew about the dawn of humanity was just the opening chapter of a much larger, more complex story? Imagine our family tree not as a straight, sturdy trunk reaching for the sky, but as a dense, tangled bush with countless branches, many of which led to evolutionary dead ends. For decades we told ourselves a simple linear tale of progress. An ape-like ancestor stood up, walked, and gradually, inevitably became us. It was a neat, comforting narrative. But science is not about comfort. It is about the relentless pursuit of evidence, no matter how much it complicates the picture. This story is not a single heroic lineage marching forward. Instead, diversity, experimentation, a world crowded with ancient relatives. It is written in the very bones of the earth, buried for millions of years in the hot, dry plains of Afar. The ground there holds secrets, adding new faces, adding new names to our family portrait. This journey asks us to let go of old ideas and embrace a messier, more fascinating reality. See ourselves not as the pinnacle of a ladder but as the last surviving twig on a branching bush of life. Our quest begins in geologic time. For a long time, one fossil discovery dominated our understanding of human origins. Her name was Lucy. Discovered in 1974 in the Afar region of Ethiopia, she was a revelation. Australopithecus afarensis, 3.2 million years ago. About 40% of her skeleton was preserved. Her pelvis and leg bones show adaptations for walking upright, adaptations for bipedalism. Yet her skull was small, brain ape-sized, her arms were long, adapted for climbing. A creature between trees and ground, a perfect transitional fossil. Lucy became a scientific superstar, a household name. Her discovery cemented the idea that bipedalism came first. Then, millions of years later, bigger brains. The story? Lucy's species as the single trunk of our family tree. For decades, scientists worked under that elegant model. Fossils from 4 to 3 million years ago were often assigned to her species. The ladder-like story, first bipedalism, tool use, bigger brains, and finally us. We could point to Lucy and say, this is where our journey truly began. She was the matriarch, the single shining star in the ancient Pliocene sky. Her species thought to reign in East Africa for nearly 1 million years, but science is self-correcting. New data challenges assumptions. Lucy's importance remains immense, but the idea she was alone is crumbling. The Afar held more secrets. To understand this new chapter in the human story, we must travel to its epicenter, the Afar Depression in Ethiopia. This is not a gentle, inviting landscape. It is one of the hottest, driest, and most geologically active places on the planet. Here, 3 tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart, tearing the African continent asunder. The ground is a raw, tortured canvas of ancient lava flows, deep canyons, sun-baked badlands. It seems like a desolate wasteland, but for a paleoanthropologist it is paradise. This constant geological turmoil is precisely what makes Afar a treasure trove of fossils. As the earth splits open, it exposes ancient layers of sediment buried for millions of years. These layers are like pages in a book. Each layer tells a story of a specific moment in time. Trapped within them are the fossilized remains of the plants and animals that lived and died there. In Afar, rifting lifts these ancient pages to the surface. Relentless wind and occasional flash floods erode the rock, revealing secrets. It is here, in this crucible of creation and destruction, that crucial clues to our origins have been found. From the first discovery of Lucy to the most recent finds, Afar has consistently delivered fossils that revolutionize our understanding. Imagine walking across this landscape. The sun beats down, the air shimmers with heat. To the untrained eye, it's just miles of rock and sand. But to the fossil hunter, every pebble, every fragment of stone is a potential clue. It requires incredible patience, a keen eye, and a deep knowledge of anatomy. Finding a single tooth or a piece of a jawbone can result from weeks or months of meticulous searching under grueling conditions, but the rewards are immeasurable. Volcanic ash layers interspersed with fossil-bearing sediments are a gift to science. They contain radioactive elements that act as natural clocks. By measuring decay of these elements, scientists can assign precise dates to the rock layers and their fossils. Through this painstaking work, Afar has revealed its most shocking secret. The dawn of humanity was a crowded affair. For a long time, the before Lucy puzzle was simple. There was Lucy's species, Australopithecus afarensis, and that was it. But in the early 2010s, that picture shattered. A team led by paleontologist Johannes Haile Selassie, working in an area of Afar called Warransomil, announced a discovery that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. They had found jaws and teeth from a completely new species of hominin that lived at the exact same time and in the very same region as Lucy. They named it Australopithecus Ledi-Geraru, which in the local Afar language means close relative. This was not a distant ancestor or a later descendant. This was a contemporary, a neighbor. The existence of Australopithecus Ledi-Geraru was a direct challenge to the single lineage model. It meant that between 3.3 and 3.5 million years ago, there were at least two different species of human ancestors walking around East Africa. They would have shared the same rivers, foraged in the same woodlands, and perhaps even looked upon one another from a distance. This discovery forced us to ask a whole new set of questions. How did two closely related species manage to coexist? Did they compete for the same food? Did they occupy slightly different ecological niches to avoid stepping on each other's toes? The simple story was gone, replaced by a complex ecological puzzle, but the plot thickened. Other fossil fragments from different sites hinted at even more diversity. In Kenya, the controversial Kenyanthropus platyops also dates to the same period, suggesting a possible third lineage. Back in Afar, a partial foot from Bertel dated to 3.4 MA showed an opposable big toe, climbing adaptations unlike Lucy. This foot was so different it couldn't be assigned to afarensis or Ledi-Geraru, hinting at yet another unnamed hominin sharing the landscape. Suddenly the world of our ancestors looked much like the African savanna today, multiple species using different strategies to survive. Our past was not a lonely march of a single chosen line, it was a vibrant, diverse ecosystem of bipedal apes. So how can scientists look at just a few fragments of a jawbone and a handful of teeth and, well, declare a whole new species? The answer lies in the subtle but crucial details of anatomy. Bones, not just scaffolding, records of a creature's life, shaped by stresses and strains. Jaws and teeth, the hardest parts and the most likely to fossilize. They tie directly to diet, size, shape, structure. These features tell us what an ancient creature ate and how it lived. Scientists examined Australopithecus Ledi-Geraru fossils and found clear differences from Australopithecus afarensis. Ledi-Geraru's jawbone, more robust, thicker and stronger. Teeth, especially the molars and premolars, smaller than Lucy's but with thicker enamel. A robust jaw suggests powerful chewing forces. Thicker enamel resists wear from tough or abrasive foods. Together they imply a different diet than Lucy's. Perhaps Ledi-Geraru specialized in harder foods, nuts, seeds, hard-shelled fruits. This is niche partitioning. Different species in the same area evolved to use resources differently to reduce competition. By specializing, afarensis and Ledi-Geraru could coexist. Tiny differences in molar size or jaw thickness aren't trivial. They're whispers from the past. They reveal how ancient relatives carved out existence. Evolution as master tinkerer, many solutions to survival. Each jawbone and tooth adds a new character, a unique tale. Just when the story of Lucy's contemporaries was sinking in, the Afar region delivered another bombshell. In 2013 at Ledi-Geraru, student Chalachu Seyum spotted a fossil in eroding siltstone. It was the left side of a lower jaw, complete with 5 teeth. The Ledi-Geraru jaw would force a major revision of the human story. Using radiometric dating on volcanic ash layers provided the age. Scientists dated ash layers above and below the fossil. The result? Between 2.75 and 2.8 million years old. That placed it in a critical, poorly understood period of our history. The jaw was electrifying for its features. It showed a mosaic of traits, part ancient, part modern. The jaw's slender shape and receding chin were primitive, while the teeth, smaller and more symmetrical, showed hallmarks of our genus, Homo. Those dental hallmarks pointed to our genus Homo, a creature caught in the act of evolving, linking earlier Australopiths and later hominins like Homo habilis. Previously, oldest Homo evidence was about 2.4 million years old. Ledi-Geraru pushed our lineage back by about 400,000 years. The evolutionary split happened earlier than we thought. Early Homo lived alongside late Australopiths. For hundreds of thousands of years, ancestors and cousins coexisted. The simple linear model gave way to overlap and coexistence. Around 2.8 million years ago, Africa changed. The climate became cooler and drier, forests shrank, grasslands expanded. That shift likely favored adaptable hominins in open habitats. The appearance of Homo at this time with versatile teeth fits perfectly. The Ledi-Geraru jaw links our origins to planetary-scale climate change. Let's use our scientific imagination, grounded in evidence, to journey back in time. Let's visit the Afar region as it was 3.5 million years ago. Picture a lush mosaic, dense gallery forests lining ancient rivers where troops of monkeys chattered in the canopy. These forests gave way to open woodlands with scattered acacia and grassy floodplains stretching toward a shallow lake. Herds of three-toed horses, giant pigs, primitive elephants, crocodiles, and hippos. A rich environment that was the stage for our evolutionary drama. It was here that at least 2 and possibly more species of hominins lived side by side. Imagine a group of Australopithecus afarensis foraging near the forest edge, agile generalist foragers. Not far away, Australopithecus diversification used stronger jaws to exploit harder resources, perhaps using stones to crack nuts or pry roots. Their territories overlapped. They would have encountered each other at waterholes. What would those interactions have been like? Curiosity, fear, or aggression? We can only speculate. They were part of a complex food web, competitors with each other and prey for formidable predators. Survival was a daily struggle, finding food, avoiding becoming food, and navigating a world full of relatives both similar and different. Still, specialization and niche partitioning allowed multiple hominins to persist in the same region. The Pliocene Afar was a patchwork of opportunities and dangers, the crucible of evolutionary experiments. The flood of new discoveries from afar has been thrilling, but it has also fueled intense scientific debate. The question at the heart of it is this: how different do 2 fossils have to be before we can confidently call them separate species? When the discoverers of Australopithecus diversification proposed it as a new species, some paleontologists were skeptical. They argued the differences might be within the normal range of a single widespread species. This is the classic lumpers versus splitters debate. To resolve it, scientists rely on rigorous analysis and more evidence, dozens to hundreds of measurements compared statistically. The combination of features, robust jaw, small teeth, thick enamel, was judged unique. While debate continues, the evidence for diversification as a distinct species is strong, and it has pushed the field to accept Pliocene hominin diversity. Every new fossil is put on trial, scrutinized by experts around the world. This rigorous, sometimes contentious process ensures that when a new consensus emerges, like the idea of a crowded Pliocene landscape, it is built on a solid foundation of data. The debates are the soul of science. The discoveries in Afar compel us to throw out the old, comfortable image of human evolution as a linear march of progress, a ladder leading directly to us. The reality is so much more exciting. The evidence points not to a ladder, but to a dense, branching bush. For millions of years, the Earth was home to multiple kinds of human ancestors, exploring different evolutionary pathways at the same time. Bertel foot creature, climbing adaptations, Australopithecus afarensis, versatile generalist, Australopithecus diversification, dietary specialist, our lineage Homo, larger brains and tool-making, Homo, larger brains, tool-making, incredible adaptability. For a long time these branches coexisted, competing and perhaps interacting in ways we are only beginning to guess. Many branches were successful for a time. Some lasted 1 million years or more, but they eventually died out, leaving no living descendants. Our species, Homo sapiens, is not the inevitable pinnacle of evolution. We are the last surviving twig on this tangled bush. The work in Afar is far from over. This vast region has given up many secrets. Countless more remain buried, waiting for the next generation of fossil hunters. What other species are waiting to be discovered? What new evidence will further complicate and enrich our understanding? The story of human evolution is not a closed book. We are still writing the earliest chapters. The truth will be more complex, more surprising, and more wonderful than we can imagine. Our quest to understand where we come from is the quest to understand ourselves, and that journey has no end.